we have 4 signatures and we need a journal cover for them. And I need 4 journal covers for when I complete the other 12 signatures. So from this bag I will get 2 of the covers I'm looking for. And what I'm going to do is I need this flat bit as well. So this top bit I won't need, but I need the bottom bit. So what I've done already with this bit is I've cut it off from the other side, and it's one of these, it's got this lovely crinkly stuff in it, so it's going to make a lovely soft, quite noisy cover, but I like a noisy cover. I've got these bits. The birds are making a lot of noise today. I've got these bits here which I need to decide whether I'm going to trim off or leave on for a bit more stability. I might leave them on just so it gives a wee bit more. This will be the outside, so I might leave them on so that it just gives a bit more stability. And then this will be a kind of flap over. Will it be a flap over? Oh, there's something else joined in the noise now. I'll put these in here and I'll get 2 out of this, as you'll see. Oh, see, maybe I'll need that whole length. I need the whole length regardless. There's not going to be a lot of room for movement, for growing, is there? Well, there will. Just won't be a lot of room for... So we need the flap bit just to get the full length. But we only need half of this. Also, I'm going to just fold this in half this way. I don't want to really do that, actually, do I? That's a silly thing to do. I want to just fold this and use this in a... It is staying together pretty well, and I will be sewing it, so you're joining me with my pondering in my adventure in art and craft today. Thank you if you are here. Hope somebody's here. But I want to make this soft journal cover. I'm just wondering, that is starting to just with, let's mark it and cut it. Let's mark it and cut it. And then, now I'm going to prepare this, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this down. I'm going to put a bit of this pour tape. Let's just glue this down as well, just so it doesn't move when I'm doing everything else. And the outside of this is going to be the outside, and the outside is all going to be the same. I haven't decided yet what the inside is going to be, but the inside will be all different. But the first thing I want to do is just knock back some of this some of this darker, thicker stuff. I mean, the writing probably wouldn't have shown through, but that darker stuff probably would have done if I end up with doing a... Well, I'll show you what I'm going to do in a wee second. I'm saying I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if it'll end up being used, because until I've done it, I don't know if it's the thing that I want to use. But we will do it and see. But we just need to, might have to put another layer of this. I'm just wondering whether I should have, nah, just wondering whether I should have gessoed the whole thing, but actually I don't think I want to do that. But I think I am going to cover over all the writing. Gonna let that dry, and we'll move on to the main thing that I want to show you today. This is an vintage tablecloth, and sometimes you get these vintage tablecloths, and I buy them whenever I see them, vintage tablecloths, and sometimes it's these ones that have kind of got, it's a bit of a coating. I think it's a kind of stain resistance coating, and they don't dye very well, but they're fabulous for painting and make marking. And I'll give you an example. This is what I've done to one of them in the past, and that was actually just an ordinary bit of cotton. I could have dyed that if I wanted to, but I didn't. I used that for the inside, and I used this, and this is actually also a paper baggy one, and really messy stitching I did around this. So what I want to do is I want to do this, but this is only going to be for the inside, and it'll be for the inside of all four, and all four are going to be the same on the outside, and this is what the outside is going to be. Because I'm going to be recording a year in Scotland of Scottish wildlife and things. Not just Scottish wildlife, but things like sunrise and sunset and what the weather's doing, and the clouds in particular. So when we go up to Orkney, the clouds, the sky is just, oh. So I'm going to do that. You can see this is October 2023. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear up so that's four, and these are the inside covers. They're too long at the moment and they're too wide, but that's fine because I want to do them like this, and then I can deal with them. So let's fold those up, put those ones aside, and these are the ones that I'm going to deal with today. This is the one even. Now, I'm saying deal with it. How you do this is totally up to you. This is just how I do it. I do it on a melamine tray, so that it's, you know, this now is just used for doing this kind of thing, and that's fine, because if it makes a mess, it makes a mess. It's not going to go anywhere else. If I spill a pot, it's not going to go anywhere else, and it's just, that's absolutely fine. I also use these fabric paints. You don't have to use fabric paints. I'm just looking for one. These have there's a mixture between the ones that say light fabrics and they're kind of translucent paint, and the ones that are opaque. And I use these, but you don't need to use these. You can use an acrylic ink or a watercolor ink, or you can use anything like that, but they won't, anything watercolor won't be, you know, will, if you spill something, will end up coming off, and it might even rub off. Acrylic inks are a good option, but it's very hard to control them. To do what I'm going to do, very hard. If you were using acrylic inks, you'd end up with a kind of more organic-y thing. You can use acrylic paint. If you use acrylic paint, however, the one thing you must be aware of is you need to water it down, roughly half and half, really. And because acrylic paint has a higher plastic content than something like this that's made for fabric, you'll end up, the fabric itself will get stiff. Fabric doesn't get stiff with this. It's still quite, it's just like it's been painted on, there's nothing. But acrylic paint actually adds a layer. So you just need to be aware of that. But there's nothing to stop you using acrylic paint. And lots of people get really nice effects with acrylic paint. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this, I need to first of all decide what colours, don't I? What colours I might use. why don't I start doing and stop faffing? And so I will. I'm getting out my mark making bits. Those are the ones that are calling me today. So let's just use these ones. And I think I'm going to start with the yellow so that other stuff can then go over the top of it. So first thing I want to do is just shake this up. You should use these in a well ventilated room. And what I'm doing, I'm just going to pour a little bit on here for a palette. And then I'm going to, what shall I start with? Shall I start with this? I'm going to just start with this bit on. Rather than a full, you just start printing on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and wash this now. That just gives us a wee bit more time to dry, and then we'll put another pattern on top of that. Okay, I've taken it back to the beginning, and because I've done I know it's not a whole circle, but because I've done a circle, I'm now going to do something that's not a circle. And I think actually I'm going to use this as a paintbrush. But what I'm going to do is I'm just getting kind of, they're not circles, and they're just some added colour. Shall we call that done? I think we'll call that done. Right, so I'm going to go and wash the brush. Finish with the yellow. I'm going to go and wash the brush and the palette. And again, let this dry a bit. All I'm doing is I'm washing and coming back. It's not totally dry, clearly, but it just lets it settle into the fabric before I do the next bit. I think we're going to move on to the green now, and I think I might use this, which is a bit of corrugated card. I think it came from a chocolate box. Now let's give the paint a shake. And I'm not bothered about getting a complete print on this. I'm going to just pour a bit onto that, and this, I think this must be an opaque one. It is an opaque one because it's slightly thicker. Maybe a wee bit more. There we go. Oh, just thinking how I might do this. Yeah, because I had a feeling I was going to end up with get too much paint on that. So I think we'll get the paintbrush out and use the paintbrush just to take that off there. Just paint on there and see how it prints. I'm trying to remember how I did it last time, that I ended up with just this. I think maybe I'd rolled it out on something rather than. We'll just do it this way. Oh, actually I quite like that as well. That's quite nice. It's starting to get sticky, and this is what happens when you use something, especially paper, something that's paper a lot. It does start to get quite sticky, and you don't get maybe quite as clean as prints as you did at the start, but that's okay. Right, so I'm going to put that somewhere to dry. Put it there. I'm going to go and wash this, and then we'll come back and do something else with green. So I'm thinking that we might go and use this, and using this as a bigger circle. So let's just and that's a good way to get it doing a partial print, is if you roll it, then where you stop rolling it you'll end up not getting a print. See? And it's quite nice actually just having those partial prints as well. So I think that's it. I'm tempted to put something in there, but maybe that'd be too much. Nope, I think that's maybe it. So that needs to dry as well. I'm going to go and no, I'm not. I'm actually going to do some of these little ones with this. I just feel I want to put some little, oh, that's maybe a bit, this is, maybe use the other side. I think that's got a bit mushed up. Okay, I'm going to throw this one out because both that end wasn't creating a good circle at all, and this end is now quite thick and squashed, but I've got more of them, so I'm going to throw that one out. I'm going to go and wash this up, and we'll be back to work on, that's finished, the next colour, which will be this. It's another opaque one. You can see the difference between the translucent and the opaque. It's quite nice having the translucent in the background, I think, but it's also quite nice having the translucent at the top, but because this is opaque as well, isn't it? I wonder if I want another translucent. No, I don't think I do. I think I'm quite liking where this is going at the moment. I've just shaken this up, and when I was away washing, I thought, well, actually I've got a mandala in my Indian block. So that would be an idea. And then when I went to get the mandala, I found this flower that I'd forgotten about, so I think we're going to use this. I know I said I wasn't going to, it didn't matter, and it doesn't matter, but actually if I want to do something, I can do it. So the best way to ink these up is actually to use a sponge and sponge it on, just because then it doesn't go into the grooves. And I don't think it matters. Normally this would be done as a repeat pattern, and I don't think it matters that it's not going to be done. And normally I would have a bit of foam underneath, because it's a block, and a block doesn't print as well unless you've got a bit of foam underneath, because it's not flat like you know what it's like if you get a bubble or something underneath one of your acrylic blocks, and when you put it on your stamping block. Well, that's what it's a bit like with this, only there's not a lot you can do about it, and that's fine, because I don't mind it being all squiffy, because that's part of what I'm doing. Yeah, I think that's it. Right, so I'm going to go and clean this now. Now I've just got this out of my mark making thing. Do you remember these for when you're doing paper? This one's quite small actually, but we're just going to use this for some mark making as well. Okay, I think that's done. So I'm going to go and clean this up because that's the lilac finished with. But the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to splatter some of the gold. So let's just give that a shake first. I'm looking for my long splatter brush and I found it. This just needs to dry now, and I'm going to clean up the mess. Here is the dried bit of fabric, and it's a nice thick, so I'm pretty sure that that's not going to show through, and it doesn't, which is excellent. So we'll come back to that again in a second, but for now I want to put on this bit of fabric so that it gets chance to settle before I put the other bit on. I could have been doing this actually while that was drying. I should have thought about that, but I didn't. Bad, Kirsten. I am going to put some water on here. This is some fabric glue, and it's really quite thick, so I'm just watering it down a bit. That'll do. Let's just put that there just now and get out my glue brush, and I'm just going to, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the bits around, do this one section, and then I'll put this on and I'll do the other section because it soaks into the bag. I do have a bit of stuff somewhere that I'll show you. Right, let's just get this on. There we go. Right, now if we turn this over, because it's easier than doing it this way. Right. Just take that down so that there's no, there we go. Then we want to, have I got enough glue? Maybe just about got enough glue. Let's go along here. Not going to be enough to do the other side and the edges, but let's just get this one done, and I'll just make up some more. And I've just realised, of course, what I've forgotten to do is take that in first. Take that in first. Pick up some glue. Oops. There we go. Take out that corner first. As I said, it doesn't matter if it's not totally stuck down, because it's as long as it's holding it until I sew it. And as soon as I put the other bit on top anyway, that'll help hold it. Right, and I need another wee bit of glue. I don't want to do too much. And we just do that. Sorry, I've switched that off because the camera off because the phone rang, and it rang just as I was about to pour the glue, so I thought, right, I'll answer the phone, and then I forgot to put it back on again, didn't I? So I'm sorry about that, but it was just a case of repeating something you'd already seen anyway. And now I'm just sticking this bit down here. This I need to make so it fits. It's slightly the kind of bit with the squares. I don't know if you can see that. There's kind of square shadows and then there's line shadows. Bit with the squares isn't quite big enough, I don't think. Oh, it might be actually. It might be. It is. It is. So let's just go that. Let's. Oops. Cut off. Just going to take that off at that point. Okay, and let's add some more water to this just because it's been sitting there for a wee minute. Undone that. Got to remember to put it on the fabric as well. Okay, I've done it again. So now what I need to do is, right, so this is the back, it goes this way round and this is the back. So I need to, when I'm looking at this, decide if that makes any difference at all as to what might be. Yeah, I'm going to put this bit on here. There we go. Now we've got that wee bit of thread there I just want to cut off. I'll just take these bits and Yeah, see, that's going to be good. Well, there's enough room for it to expand a bit. So this needs to dry, and I will sew it, and then I think we'll call it that for this particular one. And next time I'm going to show you the temporary binding method I'm going to use, because I don't want to sew them in this until I've finished, because if you remember, some of these, because of this here, it's not going to be easy to work on some of these pages. So I'm going to put a temporary binding in until they're finished, and then they'll get sewn in. That'll be exciting, won't it? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this wee video. And if you're thinking, even if you've not started yet, but you're thinking of doing a phonology journal as well, I'd be really, really interested to know about it. You take care. Until next time. Bye for now. Keep crafting.